On this episode, I get in a fight with Brad Pitt because I'm a zombie. And what's a DTF? No, crap, DDF. This real estate stuff is not easy, so send me your questions and I will answer them. This is the Ask Jason Show. Hello everybody, my name is Jason Piercey and this is episode 68 of the Ask Jason Show. I had this conversation over text just this morning, Director Joe. Wait, before we go into that, let's talk about how Director Joe is a celebrity now. I put a post on Facebook recently of a text message that I had. Let's just show people so they can read it. So my client texts me and we're talking about when their house is going to get listed. And I said, as soon as I get the photos back from edit. And they were like, you didn't tell me Director Joe was going to be in my house. That was so fun. To me, that is amazing. I could not be happier. And you should see him. He's all giddy. He's like, you told me you introduced yourself. She had said to you something along the lines of, yeah, I've seen some of his videos. And you were like, oh, do you mean the Ask Jason Show? And she was like, yeah, do you do those? And you were like, I'm Director Joe. I'm making it sound like he did it like douchily, which is not the case whatsoever. I find the entire thing really heartwarming and it's amazing to me. Nobody really knows that everything that is entertaining or valuable about any of this is Joe spending hours watching like 30 minutes worth of footage and cutting up all of the problems with my ADHD to make something that's cohesive. That is essentially what he does. So everything that's good or valuable or entertaining about this, the lovely and talented Director Joe. Okay, so now the actual episode. The question was, why is it that when I look up an address of something that I know is for sale, every real estate company in the city has it listed? Every single website. It's on Remax and Keller Williams and Century 21, and it's on Royal LePage. Actually has some of the better organic search engine optimization, and also Century 21, because they create websites for each individual address. 123mainstreet.com, right? If they have Main Street listed. Anyway, so they all show up all of the time. How does every brokerage have every house listed? They don't. Only one brokerage has the house listed, but they all subscribe to something called a DDF, not a DTF. Totally different thing. That is a data distribution facility. And that's something that the Canadian Real Estate Association has created that increases the distribution and the availability of your listings across everybody in the board. I have permission to advertise any listing from any brokerage, regardless of what individual realtor has it listed there, provided they subscribe to this data distribution facility, and provided when they do their listing agreement, they check the little box that's, sorry, just one second. Oh, I'm supposed to be at the ophthalmologist. Let's get through this. Sorry, Brad Murphy, I apologize. I'm gonna have to reschedule that. What was I saying? Yeah, so provided they check the little box that say that it's okay for other realtors to advertise their listings. Here's something that I want to sort of navigate, because if you're thinking about selling your house, that's a good thing. I know you might have hired Jimmy from Jimmy's Realty to be your realtor to list your house for sale. And then Joe from Joe's real estate team, I shouldn't have said Joe, anyway. And then Director Joe may have it listed on his website and you're like, but I hired Jimmy, why does Joe have it? That's good for you, because Jimmy might be really good at writing a description and having really good photography on your listing, but he might not be really great at social distribution, and he might not have the same caliber of website that has the same search engine optimization. So Director Joe will get it to more people because he's like, yeah, well, that's not what I mean. This is an example, because that's what the data distribution facility is for. So that DDF feed is really good for you. It's a good thing. But it also makes every individual realtor's website a little hard to navigate, because if you go to Director Joe's website and you see a house for sale and you think that it's his listing and you ask him questions about it because you're curious, like how much rent comes from this apartment. If that's his listing, he'll just know it. But if that's something that's on his website from his DDF feed, that all comes from realtor.ca, by the way. All of that comes from the one place, all listings, all the time. These people subscribe to that feed. He's less likely to be able to answer that quickly because it's not actually his listing. He just has permission to market it, to help sell it, to generate leads, to help you find a house, to help somebody else sell a house. It's a collaborative effort. There is an upside and a downside to the DDF. The upside is, for sellers, hundreds of websites, thousands possibly, everybody gets to see your stuff. That's a really good thing. From a buyer's perspective, if you think that you should be working with the listing agent because they know the most and they'll get it back to you really quickly, don't Google the address and email the first one that comes up, because it's probably not going to be the listing agent. And instead of, like, if you text me now and say, how much rent do they get in the basement of 42 Whiteway? I just know the answer. If you text Jimmy at Jimmy's Realty, Jimmy's going to call me and ask me, and then I'm going to get back to him, and then he's going to tell you. I don't care which one happens, because I don't really want to represent both sides of a deal when they're buying one of my listings anyway. I'm on contract to the guy who owns the place. That creates a difficult sort of thing. And in a lot of provinces across Canada, representing both sides of a transaction is actually illegal. So, like, it's not always a good thing. It can be, but it's not always. So, quick summary, Keller Williams isn't listing RE/MAX's listings, and Century 21 isn't listing Hanlon's listings. That's not it. They all have access to the same pool of stuff because it's better for you to sell your house overall, long-term, good thing. And if you're buying something and you're wondering why the realtor's taking a little while to get back to you on it, it's because it might not be their listing. Not a bad thing at all. You should have independent advice. That's the whole thing. That's what a DDF is, not a DTF. Ugh. And that's it. We'll see you. Why did I do that? It felt good though. I'm like that guy from World War Z. And I'm out of whatever was in this. M things to say, believe it or not, at least for a minute or two. So Joe's gonna turn the camera off. We'll see you next time. Before I get going again. Quick, seriously, I got something to come. The Ask Jason Show exists so that you can get good real estate related information from a resource that you can trust. Now, speaking of resources you can trust, here's a couple I would trust to work with my mom. Because good enough for mom, I mean, good enough for you. Bigger worried face.